Now, the rest of the story.
All right, welcome back. Well, it is the end of the day. I'm going to talk about machine readiness because I've been asked a little bit about it as far as why our equipment isn't ready to be used the second it is pulled out of the machine shed in the spring. Well, all right, I've had somebody comment that their machinery is typically ready to go when they pull it out compared to most American farms. I guess I'm trying to answer for most people, but I can't. This person was from over in Europe, and they asked why most American farmers, or a lot of the American channels that they were seeing, is that they were pulling out their machinery in the spring, and it is not ready to be taken to the field as soon as it's pulled out of the shed. Well, I don't know how things work on the other side of the pond. I can only talk about how things typically work for us on our operation. So if any other ag channels that are watching that want to address that question, feel free to. But for us specifically, our machinery is typically, as much as we can, put away for the year, ready to be run the following year. The only problem is when you put machinery away for the year and it sits for 9-10 months and it doesn't move at all, things just tend to develop from sitting. I know that sounds weird, but that's what I'm going to go with, because this planter was ready to go. Last year when we put it away, it was gone through, it was greased. The fertilizer tank had winterizer ran through it, so it didn't freeze up over the winter. All the chains were sprayed with a chain lube or a chain film, and really it was gone through. It was ready to be ran again, honestly. The seed was all removed from all the seed boxes. There was really nothing left in this planter. So last year when we first put it away, I could have hooked up to it a month later, hooked it back up into the tractor, hooked all the monitor back up, and went and planted with it. Just dumped some seed in, put fertilizer in the tank, well, drain the winterizer again, but then put fertilizer back in the tank and run. See, the problem is when you let it sit for an extended amount of time, things such as the air pressure in the tires does start to change. It loses pressure in the tires. Not that there's bad tires by any means, but air pressure does, it gradually changes. So we're going to go through, which I haven't done yet. I got to do it like tomorrow. I'm going to go through and check the air pressure in the tires. This planter has been greased before I put it away. It's going to be greased again. All of the closing wheels, I took the pressure off all these when we put it away. I mean, it's no big deal, but they are all set again. The airbags, the pressure was let out of the whole system, so there wasn't any air pressure on any of the downforce bags. But every year since we've had this planter, the first year that we had it, we pulled it out of the machine shed in like the 1st of March, and we ended up changing out the harness on it, and we ended up switching it over to Ag Leader, and we went from the John Deere setup to Ag Leader. A lot happier with it. That's pretty well-known fact. The second year, last year, we went ahead and we put the fertilizer tank on it, the whole custom bracket mounts that support it and everything, and all the lines were in. We did that last year. This year, which is part of the reason why the planter didn't get pulled out till about, say 2 weeks ago, it really didn't need much going into this spring. We didn't have any big plans for it, but what we ended up doing is we looked at all of our row chains, and all 12 of these chains were replaced. It took me a whole, maybe 6 hours from start to complete finish, but there was a lot of, hey Travis, you can help me with this, or hey, we got to work on this kind of thing. So it took me 6 hours over 2 days. Really no big deal. Didn't replace the chains going from the seed meters back to the insecticide boxes just because we don't use the insecticide anymore. They really are on there just for show. Overall, the planter did not need a whole lot of work going into this spring. Since we've gotten this planter, this is actually needed the least amount of work since we've had it, which I am grateful for. That's why we really didn't take a whole lot of time to look it over. I did a quick run on the fertilizer setup. It is running perfectly fine. I replaced 2 orifices, which they go down in here. I replaced 2 of those because I lost them last year when I set them down where I shouldn't have. Really fill the fertilizer up, put seed in the boxes, and this is ready to go. The only reason I went through and greased it again is because I wanted to refresh the grease that was in it from last year. Really probably wasn't necessary, but it's just kind of how I operate. Similar things with all the other machinery around here. Everything is a little different. The corn planter probably gets scrutinized a little bit more than everything else. The tillage tools, granted my 630 hasn't seen any work this year. It may not at all. The VT, that was greased before we put it away. Same with my 630. That still has grease from the last time we had used it and we put it away. Yeah, Ryan went through and greased this machine again before we used it for seeding oats. We haven't done any tillage other than, the taking Brittany to work day. That was the last time we've used this machine. And we are going to go through, and that's what we really need to do right now, is we're going to go through and get all the tractors ready as we can get them for planting corn. It's been too wet out for the last few days, and the plan is to get the 82 gone through. I'm going to clean the cab out, clean the windows, fill it full of fuel, grease this machine up so that way the next time that we need it, hopefully here before too terribly long, we'll be able to run. Same thing with the corn planter. Air pressure in the tires, and really just got to hook the monitor up to 46. But the goal is to chisel plow the last few acres that Ryan has before anything else. The grain drill, that really is probably as true to the whole hook up to it and leave thing as I can really get when it comes to a seeding machine. Greased it, checked the air pressure in the tires, vacuumed out the old seed in the boxes here because I actually forgot about it last year before I put it away. Typically I do that. I don't let it sit all winter with seed in it. Pulled the dead bird out of the seed tube and made sure everything was turning freely. And 15 minutes and this was actually ready to run. Still has a bunch of acres to be run over though. Probably not going to happen until after we're done planting corn and beans. Just because I don't put seeding oats and new seeding in as very high on my list of priorities as corn and beans, because corn and beans are what pays the bills around here. Probably going to call myself a hypocrite again here because as far as machines that get put away and hooked up to and really taken to work, the Harrow fits the bill for this year because that is exactly what I did to it this year. I didn't do anything to it. I literally pulled it out of the machine shed out at Ryan's place, hooked up to it, and went to work. Really not a whole lot to check on these other than the tire pressure, and I'm a criminal. I'm not a criminal, but I actually had to go through, I didn't grease the pivot points on it yet, and I do have a low tire I see. So yeah, I'm a bad guy there, but really not the end of the world. I can have this up and running in about 5 minutes. So yeah, I can't really answer. I'm not really going to try to answer for everybody else that is pulling their equipment out for the year. It's just good practice, even though it was put away, ready to run, like really our corn planter was, just to go through it and maybe go over a few things that may have been forgotten about or put aside. That's just where I stand. So yeah, got to grind a load of feed tomorrow. 46 has been playing in the mud. Half the lights on the 76 are replaced on the cab. You missed that. You guys are probably, if you guys have seen it, my root growth promoter, I think is, well, it's a term I'm going to use, has just shown up. I've been actually after this stuff for a while. I was told about it, I think back in January, and this stuff is coming straight from the production facility because I think this is the first year that has been approved in the U.S. and I guess from the sounds of it, they they weren't expecting as much demand for it as what they got, because I've been after Andrew basically since I ordered the stuff that I wanted it. I wanted it on the farm, so it was here when I need it. This stuff is actually replacing the graphite powder. All this stuff does is it allows the seed to flow a little bit more freely down through the seed meters. This stuff does the same thing, but it actually expedites drying on seed. It actually it helps the root growth. It is 1% nitrogen, 10% phosphate, 2% manganese, 8% zinc, and it treats 37 units of seed. So 37 bags. So I got 2 jugs here. I'll run them out until I use them all up. I don't know if it's going to get any soybean seed or not. Really was aiming just for corn, but you know what? It might be nice to see how it actually performs on my soybeans. It's just first time it's ever been used on the farm. It's similar to Quick Roots, I'd think. Maybe not. I used Quick Roots 3 or 4 years ago and I tried to get away from it just because this is applied directly to the seed in the seed boxes, so I worry about uniform seed coverage. That's kind of why I liked doing the Rapidity and Pacer and everything that got mixed into the liquid fertilizer tank, because it was put directly onto the seed and I knew that all the seeds were getting covered. But once again, I've heard some good things about it. I mean, stupid high demand for it. This was brought in on a pallet, I think, this morning, directly from the production plant, and Andrew grabbed these 2 jugs off of it for me because they were spoken for, which I think that whole pallet was, from what I understand. So, yeah, thanks everybody for kind of hanging in there. This is currently what it looks like outside the machine shed. It is wet, it is cold, there's puddles everywhere. It was 44 degrees out when I got up this morning. It is currently 50 degrees right now. I am soaking wet. Part of that is from trying to sort cows out. The rest of that is from my dog because he's a jerk. He got covered in mud today and I had to clean him off, and I think he's hopefully drying off right now. And to be honest with you, morale is kind of meh around here. When I say meh, it just means it's kind of not high, not super low, but it could be better. Really want to be planting corn. Today is May 1st. That is the day that this video was filmed. This should be up another day or 2 or 3 days. So I'm getting caught back up on my backlog. Probably going to have another backlog once we start planting, just because that's the nature of the beast, and I'll try to get the videos uploaded as efficiently as we can. So I'm tired of playing in the mud. It's starting to get a little cold out again, to be honest with you. Hopefully a few days, maybe. The problem is the forecast is not friendly for farmers across America. At least in southwest Wisconsin, it is literally saying rain every other day. And if it comes right down to it, if that planter has to be running around the clock, so be it. I'm not really willing to run the risk of losing valuable planting time. So we'll see. All right, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Take care, take it easy, keep in touch. I gotta go try to get my dog from the wash house to my truck without him touching the mud. I think I'm gonna get even wetter. So, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.